Good afternoon, everybody. There's a whole crowd of people coming in today, and not a surprise either, because we have the most fantastic Laura Bernard come and talk to us this afternoon. And we're really excited because Laura has given us the honour of launching a brand new certification that she's going to deliver a first ever time for PMO Learning, Laura. We're very pleased to have you.
Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to see your beautiful faces. Thank you so much for joining us. For some of you, it's very early. For some of you, it's afternoon. Some of you, it's in the middle of the night. Gregor, there's another one of our Impact Engine and Impact Accelerator Mastermind students. Hey, hello. So Joan and Gregor, and let's see if there's anyone else from, Willetta, I see Willetta there. Anyone else from the mastermind, you feel free to answer questions in the chat people are having about the whole Impact Engine system and how it works. But even they don't know a ton about this brand new certification, because I gave them a sneak peek that it was coming. But this is a new certification that we are adding to our portfolio of badges and certifications related to the Impact Engine system. So that's what we'll be talking about today. So there's even some surprises for them too. So I think we still have some folks joining, but Eileen, are you ready to
Um,
rock and roll?
Yes, no. I'm happy you take us away and tell us all about. As I said, we know you, Laura. We've had you over a few times, and we love your book. And now it's great to be able to offer a certification for people who want to demonstrate that they know that and are going to put it into practice.
Absolutely. And yeah, so I'm excited to be here and dive into this and give folks actually learn a couple of things that you may not know. And then we will also talk about, and I will answer questions on the new Impact Engine practitioner certification. Eileen, you anything else you'd like to share with folks?
No, I've just as I've read the book, I've watched how it's worked in organizations, and we've been talking about this. We had a great trip over to Miami earlier part of the year to talk about how we can bring this to even more people, so more people can be impact engines. And I think we try not to make this just this is not a selling webinar. It's, as you said, people are actually going to learn something about how to be an impact engine themselves.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And there will definitely be time to answer questions at the end. But please feel free to engage in the chat, leave comments. I do want this to be interactive, and I want you to learn a few things here as well. So this isn't just about the certification. This is about all of you in the PMO space, building and running PMOs, transformation teams, and trying to drive more business value in your organization. So we're going to walk through some things that I've learned, mostly the hard way over the years. And my goal here is to give you some things that you can think about differently, things you can do differently. And then, of course, if you do want to join us for our workshop and certification, we can tell you all about that, and how you can turn your PMO into an impact engine PMO pretty quickly. All right, so with that, you all ready to dive in? Let me see. I see some beautiful faces. Thank you so much for being on camera. It's really nice to be able to talk to somebody as opposed to a lot of black screens. So thank you so much for letting me see your faces. All right, let's do this. All right, so what we're going to be talking about today is how you can go from how many PMOs are typically designed to focusing on the process and managing the process of change in your organization. But I have to tell you that that's not quite enough. When you really want to provide the biggest value, the biggest impact you can in your organization, there's more you can do. And we call that becoming a strategic leader or an impact driver. And what I'm going to show you is the steps that we take people through. If you have the book, hey, let me know in the chat if you do have any version of this book, the physical book. Some of you that went to the House of PMO conference, you got your copy of the book there. Hopefully you swung by and gave me a chance to sign it for you. But we also have the digital and the audio book. Great. Good to know that you have that. Wonderful. So, and then some of you actually may have participated in a one-day workshop we did, right? Impact Engine Fundamentals. We have a whole suite of programs, training and coaching programs to support PMO leaders from all over the world. So what we're going to be talking about today is some specific things you can do to transform your PMO and the things you'll learn in just 2 days that can shape how your organization receives the PMO and how you can use it to support you in your in helping your organization achieve its business goals. So if you are not familiar with me, that's a picture of the podcast right here. We have the podcast. We have, like I said, all forms of the book. I also am a regular writer for several C-suite magazines, speaking at lots of conferences around the world. Don't worry, I don't just talk to the PMO people. I go talk to the executives and tell them all the things they're doing wrong and what they need to be doing differently to support all of you. So there's tons we're doing out there to shape the future of how not just PMOs are operating, but how they are received by the business leaders around the world. Because ultimately, my goal is to help ensure that you get and keep your seat at the leadership table. That's where your executives need you in order to effectively drive change. However, many of you might experience that PMOs are often seen as what's called the process police or the order takers. But I, having done this work, and I don't know if you saw all this, but I've spent, well, now it's actually more than this. Starting to age myself here. It's about 25 years working with PMOs and project management, building my first PMO actually in 1999. So it's getting a little bit more now. And then before that, I was doing a lot of project management, organizational change, business transformation. And what I found to be true over the years is a lot of what I was being taught was positioning PMOs as the box checkers, the order takers that just come and take meeting notes, or or a big focus on, if you wanted to be successful, you must make sure everybody follows the process, to the point that all you're doing is chasing people who are running in the other direction, by the way, that aren't really interested in your process, right? But does that mean you shouldn't have a process? No, of course not. But it means we need to look at how we're doing what we're doing and how we're doing it in a way that keeps our executives being frustrated because the projects aren't delivering their outcomes they want, and us learning that we need to step up and out of outputs to deliver better business outcomes. So I'm going to talk to you about what that means. Today, I'm going to show you why that experience happens, that gap between what the executives are looking for and what you all are being asked to do. And I'm going to show you how to fix it, and where this new Impact Engine practitioner course and certification will equip you with 3 things: the mindset, the methods, and the tools you need to elevate your PMO quickly. And I am so excited about sharing how this workshop is going to work, but we'll get to that, because it's really, I think, a game changer for many of you. We have a very advanced certification that requires months and months of work with us in order to be certified. And like Joan and Gregor and Willetta, Willetta's certified. She can tell you all about it. It's a big road to get certified in our Impact Engine leader mastery certification. But we need something that's actually more practical, more like, right now I need answers. I need to know how to apply this work and do this work in a way that helps me today. Right? I don't have months to get this more advanced certification. What can I do now that can show that I have the knowledge and the skills, the tools, and the different ways to be thinking about the work you do in order to achieve these business goals? Oh yeah, Shagiki, it's good to see you. I know we're one of the very first people to get the book and read it. Thank you so much. It was good to see you. Okay, so we're going to dive into why I think many of you are going to be really interested in going after this training and this certification, because there's this big gap I see right now. I'm going to tell you why you're experiencing it and what you need to do. Any of you, can you put in the chat if any of you feel like your PMO isn't quite valued, or that the executives don't really care about the work you do, or they don't really understand the value you bring to the table? Is there anybody that can put in the chat if you feel like your PMO is not treated as the valuable impact driver that you think it should be in your organization? Anyone? Everyone's good? Yeah, all the time. That's what I thought. Yep. So anyone feel totally relate? Yeah. So a lot of people, please put in the chat if this is you. There is a miss in what value we bring. Absolutely, Kelly, all the time. Agreed. Right. So what happens with a lot of folks is that you all are really excited about your role. You know the value you can bring to the table, but it feels like they don't get it, right? They don't get it. They don't get you. They don't get the value you bring to the table, and you're spending a lot of your time selling, convincing. Have you ever been told to sell the value of the PMO? Oh, if you just sell it more, if you just convince them, everything will be fine, right? That happens every day. Heather's like, every day. Right. That's exactly right. So I remember what that feels like. And I'm going to tell you why that's happening, some mindset shifts that you can make, things you can do differently, and then how we will work together in this certification program to set your PMO up for a completely different trajectory. So I want you to understand, though, if you feel like your PMO is undervalued or underappreciated, it's not because the executives don't care. They hired you. They're investing in you and your team to solve their business problems. But what's happening is there's a gap between what they want and the results that they're seeing. And that's the gap that we need to help you close. It's not because they don't care, it's because they're not seeing the outcomes that they're looking for. So I'm going to show you a few examples of what their experience is like, because if you want to, for all of you, to engage with your stakeholders effectively, you must understand that you have to walk in their shoes for a minute, right? And you have to understand the challenges that they're experiencing. And many of us come into organizations, and I did this too, where after I built a few PMOs, I would go into an organization, I would almost immediately see the problems. They don't have a good process. It's total chaos. This is the wild, wild west. No one's doing the things that they should be doing to get these projects done. And I would start to tell people, well, I know what you need to solve these problems. I can fix it for you. And I would go about putting the templates and the tools and the process in place. And unfortunately, what was happening is that the executives were saying, I don't get it. I don't understand how this is going to solve the strategy delivery challenges I'm experiencing. And I'm just going to give you a few quick examples of what it's like when you're walking in their shoes. Because now I've spent a lot of time with executives in organizations literally all over the world. And here are some universal challenges and universal truths that we're seeing. 60% of organizations don't link their budgets to their corporate strategy. If any of you experience budget is set over here, projects are set over here, then over here, by the way, we have what the functional teams are actually prioritizing what they're supposed to do. And somehow you're left trying to figure out how to get all of that aligned. And the challenge with that is that you have the budgets and you have the strategy, but you're stuck in the middle with not full access to either one, trying to help make all these projects get done. 75% of middle managers don't have incentives linked to the organizational strategy. And I'm going to come back to that strategy thing in a minute, because some of you are like, we're not involved in that strategy. We'll see. So middle management isn't really even aligned with the business goals of the organization. You know how that shows up for all of you? You're in a conversation with the functional managers trying to get their team members to do things. And those team members are saying, well, I don't have time for your project work. I have to go solve these other problems over here, right? Like I have my functional responsibilities, the day-to-day keeping the lights on activities, and you're trying to get me to do all this project work over here. And the managers are being measured by how their functional responsibilities are getting done, not how your projects are getting done. Right? So how are you expected to be successful when there's that gap being built into the fabric of how the organization operates? 95% of the typical workforce does not understand their company's strategy. I'm going to just pause there for a second. How many of you can actually communicate right now in the chat? Could you say, I know what my company's strategy is? Yes, no, just put a yes or a no. Some of you, whenever I ask this question, they're like, what strategy? our company doesn't even have a clear strategy. So look at that, right? Like, thank you for those of you being honest and saying, nope, nope, partially, nope, right, exactly. Which strategy? We have several. Carol, spot on, right? And so here's the challenge. You even if you know how to articulate what the company's strategy is, most of the people in your projects don't have a clue. They have no idea. And so how are they supposed to help you deliver on that strategy without that, right? And this is where executives, this is the one that really hits home for me. When you talk to executives, they will say, we can't bridge the gap between strategy and execution. We can build the strategy. We have this beautiful, perfect strategy with a nice, pretty bow on it, but we can't get it delivered. Guess who they're blaming? The project people, right? They're blaming the PMO and the project people and saying it's all because of the project. Yep, that's right. It's all because the PMO can't get it done, right? Because, and I'm going to show you why that happens in a moment. So I want you to think about, and for those of you who have the book, you will notice that before you ever even get to the title page of the book, I explain this concept, and there's a very important reason why. So this is where the impact engine system comes in and what you're going to learn in this impact engine practitioner certification. So every organization has a vision and goals. The path to reaching these goals is what's called the strategy. And I want you to think of that in our world, we think of that as like the chess queen, the most powerful piece on the board, deciding the direction and the priorities for the organization. But for an organization to get things done, it must build strong delivery capability. And I want you to picture that as like the delivery engine. And we call that the gear that powers an organization's ability to execute. That's where most of you live. That's where the PMO is. That's where project management is in this execution space. That gap that leaders are talking about, the 61% of organizational leaders saying they can't close the gap between strategy and execution, that's what they're talking about. The ideas for the strategy and the ability to execute. But here's the thing. I want to pause here for a second because sometimes when I start talking about strategy to PMO people, they say, oh, but we're not part of the strategy, or our projects aren't strategic. They're just internal projects. And to that, I want to say to you one thing: nonsense. And here's why. You all are the gear that drives change in an organization. You and your teams and the people you support are the ones that make that change happen, typically in the form of projects, right? But why do we do those projects? You do projects so that you can deliver on change. What's change? The change is what's required in order to achieve the organization's goals. What are the goals? The way that they're going to deliver on their strategy. But when I hear PMO people say, yeah, but my organization, my business leaders are saying, I can't get promoted until I'm more strategic. What the heck does that even mean? I don't know how to be more strategic. All right, I've got a little secret for all of you, and you don't even know this, but each one of you are experts at strategy. How do I know? Yeah, Heather, you've heard that repeatedly, right? Exactly. So, I love this. I don't think the gap in the slides is drawn to scale. Sometimes it's much further apart. Eileen, you are spot on. Exactly right. Again, there's the gap between strategy and execution.
Miles
For
apart.
many of you, it's thrown over the fence, right? Here's the strategy, catch, go, right? So the problem is, I know I had them on the same page. They should have been in different countries, maybe. So the problem is that most of you don't even realize how simple this is. What is strategy? Have you ever looked up the word strategy? Here's what you're going to find. Anyone notice anything similar between the top definitions? If you just Google strategy, what the top definitions of strategy are? Put it in the chat. What do you see? What do you see? What's the word that is similar between all of them? Yes, exactly. Plan. All strategy is the plan to deliver on your organization's goals. Every single one of you is an expert at strategy. You are the people that know how to plan. You're the ones that put project plans together on the weekend for fun, right? You're the ones that are called by your whole family to plan the vacation because you're the ones that know how to get that done, right? Tell me, I mean, some of you are laughing, you're like, yep, that's me. You're the ones that are like, no, I'll just do it, because you know that you're the one that's going to be able to make sure that the holiday meal, the travel plans, the just we got to get stuff done in our team. You all live and breathe planning. All strategy is the way your organization is trying to achieve its business goals, which means you are the perfect people in the organization to help your business leaders deliver on their goals. Okay. But we have to close that gap. And Eileen, you said it perfectly. We have to we have to close that gap between strategy and execution. So that gap that we're talking about here, the strategy and execution, the impact engine and the impact engine system is our way to show you how to close that gap. Not once, not for one cycle, but for ongoing for your organization. And when you do that and you combine our impact engine system approach with the organization's ability to define, execute, and realize the business outcomes for the strategy, you are able to create continuous cycles of value delivery that position you with a seat at the table, your PMO and your teams delivering on those plans to achieve the organization's business goals with a lot fewer headaches, overwhelm, and frustration that most PMO people experience because of the way they were taught. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you today is some things that you can do differently. And everything I'm talking about today, you can go apply immediately to how you operate differently in your organization. This is designed to support your current work today and help you solve your problems today. And then we will invite you to join us for our certification so that you know that you have the knowledge and the skills and the resources you need to apply this in your organization again and again and again. Okay, so to do this, I want to address some of the things that many of you have been taught, some of the mistakes some of you have made. And by the way, I've made all of these mistakes first. So let me be the one to fast track you solving these mistakes. And I'm going to show you why PMOs fail to deliver strategic value, what you can do differently starting right now. Okay. So that's the important part about this. If any of you know me, you know that it's all about not what you know, it's what you do with what you know. And that's why we created this new certification, because it's not enough for you to say, okay, I've got the knowledge. I want to make sure that we can work with you hands-on to apply all of the techniques that we teach, real world and real case scenario, so that you can then go back to your organization and start applying these things with your teams immediately. Okay. So first things first, I want to go back to what we talked about at the beginning that you said many of you all were experiencing, being seen as order takers, not strategic partners. So PMOs often just accept tasks from executives instead of shaping the outcomes. And that's a big thing that we need to address. That's right. Driver is such an active word, and we use that quite a bit. We call it shifting from order taker to impact driver. So for those of you that haven't read the book, I want to tell you a little bit about Samantha. Samantha was one of the PMO leaders that we worked with. And when I met her, she was, I don't know, I'm going to say a hot mess. And the reason she was a hot mess wasn't because she wasn't working hard, but she was doing all the wrong things because that's what she had been taught to do. And it was causing her a lot of frustration and overwhelm in her role. So it was her first week leading a PMO. She had been a project manager before, but this was her first opportunity she was accepted into this role to build a PMO. And so what did she do? She pulled out every book, every best practice, every industry template she could find. She stayed up late creating binders of processes and templates and checklists. And then when she went to talk to her boss about all of that, she went to her 90-day check-in, her first 90 days in the role. She proudly showed her boss this whole binder of all these templates and process. And her boss flipped through it and said one thing, but how is this actually going to solve our execution problems? Because remember, most of you, and just like Samantha was dealing with, the strategy seemed sound. It wasn't until they threw it over the fence to the execution teams that things started falling apart. And so when she went in there all proud and excited about what she had accomplished and all the nights and weekends she had been working to get this binder together, the process together, new methods, approaches, they were even talking about implementing software. And in that moment, Samantha realized that she had fallen into a classic trap. She was focused on the outputs, like the templates and the process, but she hadn't stopped to ask if what she was building was actually going to accelerate getting to the business outcomes. Okay. So that's mistake number one, being an order taker focused on the activities instead of the outcomes. So the very first thing that we teach you in the impact engine system is how to have a completely different mindset and role so that we can position you for success by developing this what we call the impact driver mindset, discovering the secrets to high impact strategy delivery. So what we show you is, remember, did you see that strategy definition, execution, and realization? We show you how the PMO must play a critical role in helping an organization shape strategy and helping an organization execute against that strategy, and then helping to ensure you're not done there, by the way. All of you are like, well, the project's done. We're moving on to the next 85 projects we have to manage. That's only the beginning. And project managers are not in a position where they can hang around and they're off to the next projects. But your PMO is not a temporary endeavor. It's a business unit, it's a department, it's a team that sticks around long after the projects are over. So we show you how to actually help ensure that the organization's not just getting those projects done, but that they're set up for success, so that when you actually deliver on those projects, you can ensure that they're realizing the highest possible return on investment, whatever that worth it factor looks like for you and your organization, from the very beginning, setting up for success so that they realize that highest return on investment. And what you should be doing in your team to measure, not just on time, on scope, on budget, or compliance with deliverables and process, but how you can position your organization to measure the real business outcomes and get credit for it. Because there is no faster seat to the leadership team than being able to show how your PMO is not just getting work done, but helping to shape the delivery of the organization's strategy in a way that drives the highest possible return on investment as quickly as possible. So the fix for you with stage one is ensuring that you need to think differently before. What you'll see is, you see this gear here in the middle. Something that is really important for you to understand is that if you don't think differently about your role, nobody else will either. So the very first work we do, and I know, Joan and Willetta and Gregor, I know you can talk about this. Feel free to put any comments here in the chat, how important, especially Willetta. Willetta's our mindset queen. Share in the chat how much this has helped you in shaping how you do the work you do. We constantly talk about in our mastermind the strategy life cycle and how PMO people can play a strong role in each of those stages. This is something that is very, very different than anything else I've seen about how PMOs are defined and elevated to deliver business value. And it all starts right here. And I got to tell you, for some of you, are like, yeah, mindset, blah, blah, that was me too. Don't worry. That was me too. Totally. I was always like, I don't need the mindset stuff. Just tell me what to do. I need the list. I need to know exactly what to do. And what I'm going to, what my job is to show you that when you think differently about the work you do, you position not just you, but everybody you're working with to think differently about the value you can bring to the table. But you have to see what's possible. And what I have found to be true is that most of you don't have any idea what's possible for you. And that's the part of what we're going to show you. That is what we spend our very first section on in the in this 2-day practitioner workshop and certification program. It is literally the game changer. When you understand this, everything else will come with ease. Okay, so mistake number 2. All right, so mistake number 2, thinking that you know what your stakeholders need. All right, so moving on here. Let's see. So when many organizations, you will find that PMOs push process without understanding the business pain points, and that's what breeds resistance. So many of you, I want you to put in the chat if any of you have had the experience where you have gone into your organization, and like I did, like I talked about at the beginning, you've gone into your organization and you have seen that PMO people that you either have talked about in the industry, they're like, oh, I know the problems that we need to solve here. Like I did when I went into the organization, I would go in, not the first time, not the second time. I used to ask my business leaders what the PMO should do, which also not a great idea. But then I would go into organizations and I would say, okay, so I know what's wrong here because I've seen this before, right? Like if you any of you people have been PMO leaders a few times, right? And so like by the second, third, fourth time, you're like, you start to see the same mistakes happening in every organization. One thing, then the next, then the next, is the same kind of problems that keep coming up, right? And the mistake that you will make, many of you, is you'll go in and you'll say, well, I know the problems that we need to solve. I know the medicine you need to take. I know what's best for you. And that very mindset, that very challenge is what causes so many PMOs to face resistance. But I have a secret for you that I need you to understand. PMOs should not face resistance. It's not normal. It's not natural. It's not a byproduct of a process being forced on. It's a byproduct of a process being forced on people, and people that you're trying to get to follow your process are looking at it as your process, as the problems that you must solve. You must tell them to solve because you don't believe that they know how to actually get themselves out of the challenges they're experiencing. Okay, so if any of you, can you put in the chat if any of you are facing change resistance in your organization? Like, do you face change resistance to the PMO at all? Anybody? Put it in the chat if you have any situation all the time. Okay, so yes, all right, all the time. Yep. Oh, there's Ahmed. Ahmed's in the mastermind as well. Yep, a lot. Okay, so here's the secret I need to share with you. People are not resistant to change. They are resistant to having change done to them. If you want the change resistance that you're experiencing to your process, your templates, your tools to go away, you are going to need to engage with your stakeholders differently. Resistance is not normal. It's not natural. It's not to be expected. And it's not something that you need to overcome. It's something you need to never let happen in the first place. So we had a student in our mastermind, Diane. She was leading a PMO that on paper looked fantastic. They had the process and the dashboards and the templates, everything the textbooks told her that she needed. But the problem was no one in the business was using anything that her team put together. So when Diane sat down with her stakeholders, she had to start defending the PMO and the process. And they were all saying, well, that's not what we need. That's not going to solve the business problems we had. And when she asked them, like, well, what do you actually need? The answers that they shared actually shocked her, because executives were complaining about engaging with the methodology and these templates and these tools. Why? None of them saw any value in them because they didn't think they were going to work for them. Okay. Would they have? Probably. It wasn't that the process and the templates and the tools weren't of value. It was that the process and the templates and the tools were being shoved on them, forced on them, and causing resistance because they couldn't see the connection between the process and the tools and the problems that they needed to solve. Okay, that's what's happening if you're facing resistance in your organization. It's because they're seeing it as your process, not theirs. Does that make sense? Put yes in the chat if that makes sense. Yes, exactly. Okay, so that's the challenge that we're facing. It's not that your templates, tools, and process are evil. It's that the people that you're trying to get to use them don't see why it's going to help them. So there is something we do very differently in the Impact Engine system, and that is we help you before you ever start talking about all the things you can do to deliver value for them in the organization. You need to build the strong stakeholder relationships that are going to unlock their highest priorities and help them feel heard, understood, appreciated, just like you want to feel, and that the things you're doing are going to set them up for success. Okay. So when they see a straight line from a new process to the agreed desired outcome, right? Exactly right, Guy. That's the challenge we have here, is that in most organizations, when you go in and you start saying, here's all the change I'm going to throw at you, The reason you're facing change resistance is because they feel like the change is being done to them, and they don't see that straight line from the problems they have to the solutions that you can provide. And we're going to show you in this workshop how to build strong stakeholder relationships from the very start in a way that's going to have them actually begging you to solve their problems, begging you to address the challenges that they're experiencing. Does that make sense? Like, that's, any of you believe that's possible? I know some of you are like, yeah, there's no way they're going to be begging. We can get them to beg, my friend, because there's a trick that we teach you how to do that. When you make this change, everyone wants to come with you. And it's not, I should say, like Jedi mind trick, not like tricking and fooling them, right? It's just kind of like they don't even know that this is what's going to solve their problems, because nobody has taught them that there's a better way that what you're doing is actually going to solve their problems. But the more you sell and convince and control and beg and plead, the more they're going to resist. That's not how you defeat change resistance, my friends. You defeat it by never letting it happen in the first place. And that's why the assessment process is so heavy on building those relationships. Most of you are saying, I don't have time for it because I'm so busy. That is the key to getting that change resistance to disappear quickly. Okay. So the third thing that we are going to address is helping you to stop playing whack-a-mole with a bunch of symptoms. So one time we were working with his CEO, Jack, and he was delivering an organization where projects were constantly failing. Executives were frustrated, and they thought that the answer was that the project managers were failing. It was the project manager's fault, it was the PMO's fault, and it must be because their strategy was sound, right? But now Jack was the one that was kind of going along with this and thinking, okay, that this is really the problem. But what I found when we went in and worked with them is that everything that they were focused on solving was just playing a whack-a-mole on a bunch of symptoms. Do you know what it looked like? It looked like, well, project manager's failing. Let's get them more training. Let's throw some more process at this. Let's put some more templates in place. Let's just keep shoving more at people. But, many of you, I know you experience this. When I ask you, what's the number one priority for your organization? What are the priorities your organization have? What are the priorities of the projects you all have on your plates? What's the one thing you hear when you ask your executives, what's the priority of all of these projects? Does anyone get like a 1 through N clear list of priorities? Yeah, Liz is like, everything all at once, all of them, everything, right? Exactly. I hear you. Right. So that's the thing, is that what they were doing was saying it was all the project manager's fault because they couldn't get the projects done. But the project managers were running around with their hair on fire. Some of them had lost it completely because all they were doing was chasing people, trying to get all of these projects done with, remember, those functional managers telling their teams to go do other things that weren't even the projects. Right. So you have these people that are split between, you have all your high value resources, like your subject matter experts, split between 16 different projects. Right. And so all they do all day long is task switch between projects, getting like a little bit here, a little bit here. Or your project managers have learned to be maybe not just the firefighters, but the fire starters, right? To get attention from the organization, get attention from the people that they need to get their projects done. You have to become this raving advocate for your project, and the squeaky wheel, more like the screaming wheel, is the only way you get any attention on your projects, right? Well, the problem with that is all you're doing is feeding the fuel that is making sure that your projects and everyone else's projects aren't going to get done. So instead of playing whack-a-mole with a whole bunch of symptoms, what we want to do is we want to get to the root causes and actually build a value delivery model that has you addressing the real root causes of the problems you see instead of the symptoms that are showing up. Remember, I talked about the executives just see that everything falls apart in execution. What they're not showing you is that the projects were never set up for success before they ever started. Why weren't they set up for success? Because everything was number one priority. No clear business cases. Nobody actually knew what success looked like. Nobody knew how to actually address the business problems that we're having. 62 projects with 80 people. Yeah, that's right, Lori. Well, it's no wonder that you can't get anything done, right? And so the problem is, again, if you don't address the right root causes, you're not going to solve the business problems your organization needs to solve. And so you're just going to end up in this vicious cycle where nobody's even looking at setting the strategy up for success. The projects are falling apart in that execution phase, and everyone's just running around playing whack-a-mole with a bunch of symptoms, like many of you have been taught. Well, if we train project managers, if we put more templates in place, if we put more tools in place, if we just automated everything. Well, the problem is, if you have let me just pause right here. If you are putting software in place and your process is a hot mess, you are just going to do bad process faster. Okay, so it's really important for you to understand. If you cannot put software in place and have it be the magic pill to solve all of your business problems. If you have the wrong process, if you are addressing the wrong problems, if you are playing whack-a-mole with symptoms instead of addressing root causes, nothing you do with software is going to fix it. Nothing you do with more templates, tools, and processes is going to fix it. You have to set those projects up for success before they ever start. Okay. And that's what we show you how to do, how to diagnose root causes, find the real root causes, fix those problems first. And the cool thing is, yeah, an expensive bread process. You got it. You're just going to do bad stuff faster. Who wants to do bad stuff faster? Anybody? I'd rather fix them first. But the problem is you've got to fix the right things. And the key here is that I'm going to show you how to explain to your executives what the real problems are in a way that gets their attention. Right? We show you how to map out the root causes and to do it in a way that you don't have to beg or plead. Your executives are, we do this all the time with our clients. They're like, oh my gosh, that's what's happening. That's what's going on. Well, we got to fix that first. So again, going back to engaging with your stakeholders, building the relationship, solving the right problems, that's the path to getting your seat at the table. So, but the next thing we need is a clear roadmap. And I don't mean some externally facing maturity model that the industry says you should have. I mean a clear roadmap of the problems you need to solve in your organization based on the root causes that you and your organization are uniquely experiencing. When I first started leading PMOs, I thought the key to proving our value was to have this big detailed plan, map out every project and every milestone, every dependency, every problem. And I remember expressing these or like presenting these big plans to my executives, like, look, all these things we're going to do. None of it made any sense to any of them. What they needed was a continuous value delivery model that solved their problems today. And you know what happened? As problems, as I solved one problem, new problems would present themselves. New problems would present themselves in a way that if I had this big, huge roadmap, it didn't fit on there, right? So so what we teach you to do is to build a continuous value delivery model that has you iterating and showing value every 90 days. Instead of building a 2-year roadmap, you don't have 2 years, by the way. You don't have a year. Many of you are like, well, I'm going to lay out my plan for the year and I'm going to go off and work on these templates and the tools and the process and the things and all the time I'm having to spend selling and convincing my business leaders. And the problem you have is that you're not going to be able to get the attention or the investment or the buy-in from your executives, because if they feel like they have to wait a year or more for you to start showing value, they're going to lose. They don't have the patience. Used to be that you could take 2 years and you'd have this 2-year model and you would like release some changes every year or so. You can't do that anymore. Nobody's patient enough. So instead, what we need to do is build this, what we teach you to do is build a quarterly, and you will build one with us together in this workshop, a quarterly continuous value delivery model where you are releasing new changes, capabilities, and measuring them in business terms so that you're able to tie everything you're doing to the business value you're driving your organization. And you're going to be able to do that with a roadmap that we'll build together in this workshop. Okay. So once you have that roadmap, you need to shift from delivering outputs and measuring the templates and the process and the tools and the things that you're creating to instead focus on how is this driving the better business outcomes. I'm going to teach you how to move away from measuring just on time, on scope, on budget, on number of projects, number of budget. Do you know how many times I've heard people bragging about the budget they have? They're like, we have this $1 billion budget for our projects. And I say, you know what? I don't care, because you know what that is? That's just telling me how much you're costing the organization. We need to reshape how you think about the work that you do in terms of the business value it provides and give you better metrics that you can use to measure the results and the outcomes you're achieving, and how to take the early wins that you have and tell the story of value delivery so that you don't actually have to convince anyone of anything. The stories of your successes are going to be what's helping your business leaders see the value you bring to the table. We're going to show the value of the work you do, not just talk about it. We're not going to talk about output. We're going to talk about outcomes and how the work you're doing is actually driving the strategic change your organization needs. So new metrics, new ways to think and talk about the work you do, and a much more streamlined and simplified operating model that shows value and change quickly. That's what we're going to spend time to working together in this workshop. You're going to learn how to drive exceptional business results that strategically position your team at that center of strategy delivery, setting strategy up for success, delivering on it in a way that drives high return on investment or worth it factor, and then how to measure the business results of that work. You should have metrics that show how you are moving the needle for the organization, not just how you are delivering on outputs. Okay. So we're going to give you new metrics that you can use to quickly say to your executives, this is how we are supporting the bottom line. This is how we're ensuring that projects are achieving their intended business goals, not just the project goals. Any of you that follow PMI have noticed a shift there. There's a lot going on in that space to move from project management success to project success. Well, we've been talking about that and doing that with the Impact Engine system for over a decade. And that's why our students are getting such big results with their PMOs. I'm going to share all of that with you in this workshop. And finally, the last mistake we need to address is, I started to hint at this already, because when you plan, you build a continuous value delivery model. The mistake you can make, and we saw this during COVID, any of you that have been running PMOs for a long time, either your PMO was invited into those business conversations in 2020 when the organizations were having to completely reset, or they weren't. If you weren't invited into those conversations, it's because they didn't see how you were going to help them move the needle and respond, adapt during change. I did so many webinars during that time period where PMOs were freaking out saying, well, how do I keep doing everything that we've always been doing? Essentially, that's what they were saying when COVID's going on around us. And I said, you don't keep doing what you're doing. You have to evolve. You have to adapt. You have to be nimble and flexible and, dare I say, agile in helping your business leaders solve the problems they have today. And that's the change that we all need to help you do, is create an operating model that becomes the way your organization operates. This isn't just about setting up a PMO. This is about, like Eileen said, it's about the regular heartbeat of the engine that helps make it so effective. Exactly. It's about becoming the center of value delivery for your organization, being nimble and flexible and being able to change as your organization faces business problems that it must solve, and measuring the impact in a way that helps you position for the next cycle. At the end of every cycle, we teach you how to put 90-day cycles in place so that you're constantly answering the question, what have you done for me lately? You have the answer to that question because you are releasing new capabilities and changes and measuring it in business terms in a way that shows, here's the value that our impact engine creates for organizations from day one. Okay, so I want to get into, for those of you that are interested in joining us for this workshop, I'm going to get into how this workshop works and the certification and all the resources we're providing for you. And then I will hang out to answer any questions that anybody has. Okay, you good with that? Put in the chat if you're good with that. You good for talking about this new certification that we have?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. All right. So here's how it works. I am all about, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know. In the book, I say knowledge alone is not power. It's the application of that knowledge that drives real impact. So when Eileen and Lindsay and I were talking about this new certification, it was critical to me that we made it as hands-on as possible. Okay, so that you can walk away and have the confidence and the skills you need to put to immediately apply what you're learning in your organization and be certified on the knowledge, so that you know you have that's what's going to give you the confidence. We're going to get you certified in this knowledge. And I'm going to talk to you about all the resources we're giving you in order to do that. First, before you even come to the workshop, we're going to do a PMO health assessment that's going to evaluate your current state so you have a sense of where and how you may want to focus your energy in the workshop. You're going to get one of these, right, Eileen? We're going to be mailing physical things to you, including the hardcover fancy version of the Impact Engine book. You're going to have a printed workbook that where you can take all of your notes. It's going to be mailed to you physically wherever you are in the world. It's going to be mailed to you, and we can also make a digital version available as well if you prefer that. We have the live training and workshop with me for 2 days, mid-October. We'll show you how to find out more about that. And we're going to be walking through a case study. So even if you don't have your current a situation where you're in a PMO right now, but you want to get this certification to help you with your job search and applying for roles that really value high impact PMO delivery, then you have a case study. So we're going to have a case study we walk through. So everybody's walking through the same case study that says, okay, we're going to take a real world scenario and apply everything you're learning real time to that case study. And this is going to be a very collaborative learning style. I'm going to be taking you through each of these learning exercises together. We're going to have some group activity together, and you're going to have a chance to apply what you're learning real time with your colleagues. And then we are going to and it's not, we also have the 50 question certification exam. Technically, I guess it is optional if you don't want to take it, but we would highly encourage you to take the certification exam as a part of this program so that you can be certified after the 2 days of work. So it's an exam, the proctored exam, and it'll have 50 questions, and we'll go through everything that you've learned and applied, so you'll have the full confidence you need walking into that exam and the ability to take that certification and get that certification badge. And yes, it shows up like a cool badge on your Credly badge that shows up where you can link people to it. You can put it on your resume, you can put it on your LinkedIn profile, etc. So you're going to leave, like I said, not just with knowledge, but with a tailored impact action plan for your PMO. So if you are in a PMO, or if you're using it to apply to jobs, you can say, as a part of that interview process, here's what I would do with you for the first 90 days in the role. Every hiring manager wants to know, what are you going to do for me when you get this job? And you will have literally the playbook in front of you to say, I can tell you exactly what I'm going to be able to do in your organization to drive value and drive impact in the first 90 days in the role. That, by the way, just so you know, many of our mastermind students have used exactly what I'm going to be teaching you to get their next job, to many PMO leaders that have used it to get their next job in PMO space. I mean, some incredible success stories there that our mastermind students have experienced, all from sharing with you sharing with their hiring managers and going through the process that I'm going to teach you in this 2-day workshop. So if you don't have a role right now, but that's what you're wanting to do next, or you're looking for your next role, this is the perfect 2-day workshop and certification to help you. And those of you that need to show value quickly in the role that you already have, that's exactly what we're going to focus on in the workshop. So this certification, I call it the fast track to success. Like I said, we have a very advanced certification that is called Mastery, which is a much more detailed process. This is the only certification we have that you can get in 2 days. So that you'll know what to do, in what order, why it matters, and how to do it. So
And
what we're going to
it's more than just 2 days, because they're going to have you on hand as well, and also lots of other people around to have those conversations with as we go through, because it's not just you talking for 2 days, is it?
Right, absolutely. And that's what I was talking about when I was talking about the collaboration and the collaborative format. You're going to be with your peers that are doing this kind of work in their organization. So you're going to be learning together, working together. And once you go to this certification, 2-day certification program, if you decide that you want to also be a part of the mastery program, where we have ongoing coaching on a regular basis for long after the 2 days, that'll be an opportunity for you as well. So many of you are like, just tell me, give me the tools, give me the resources. We will cover that. But that alone is not enough. It is not enough to just say, okay, well, give me the worksheets and the templates and the tools. You're going to have plenty of that. But you need to have the confidence, and that's what this certification creates. With the knowledge, the understanding, the skills, and the resources you need, you're going to also have the confidence you need to apply this, whether it's in your interview process as you're looking for a role, or in your day-to-day job that you have now. The confidence you need that I know what to do, how to do it, and that it's the right things to do. Because that's what I hear a lot is, I'm not sure. We're going to remove that I'm not sure, and you're going to walk out of that with that certification confident that you know how to apply those tools in a way that's going to help you achieve the business goals you need to achieve, and create your own roadmap for your PMO that helps you with all we've talking about here, this continuous 90-day cycles, the continuous value delivery model, all of the skills, techniques, tools, and yes, tons of templates and resources that are all going to be a part of this program. Downloadable resources that you can use and apply right in your organization. So it's not just about the 2 days. Like Eileen said, it's about creating a journey for you that starts with those 2 days, that helps give you the confidence, the tools, and the roadmap to create this continuous value delivery model, get your PMO a seat at the table, and help you make a much bigger impact in your organization. So now I'm going to hang out and answer whatever questions anybody has. Willetta, thank you. I've gained better clarity, focus, confidence, and continuous value. Willetta is one of our certified Impact Engine Mastery students. So she's definitely seen this, lived it, breathed it, taught it, coached people through it. And I'm going to answer questions now, but I'm going to leave this here on the screen so you all can see it. So if you want to type this URL in your browser, if you want to scan here, you can see the information, all the details about the program, and how it will work, and dates and details. And what questions does anyone have? Eileen, can you help me with if there's any questions that have come in the chat?
I don't think there's any specific questions. There was one right at the very beginning, actually. I'd be interested to see whether there's a change in mindset. Questioned about is it right to be asking the organisation what the PMO should be doing?
Don't do that. So one thing that my mastermind students will tell you, because I spent a lot of time coaching them live multiple times a month, I will be very direct, but I will also explain, I give what do we call it, the don't do this, do that instead, but I love you, right? Like that's kind of like, those that know me, that's how my approach is, like, stop, don't do that. But here's why. So if you ask people in the organization what the PMO should do, you are putting yourself at risk that they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you what you should do. And guess what? They are not experts in PMO. So now you're going to have a bunch of people that once they have verbalized, this is what the PMO should do for me, they have now put out there what they believe your organization should be held to do. And now you're going to be responsible for doing it. And it may not be the right things. Sometimes PMOs end up doing things like becoming the therapist, the HR team, the recruiting team, the tech team, the whatever. They end up becoming all the wrong things as opposed to being able to focus on their core goal, which is accelerating strategy delivery. And what happens is you have PMO people that are now being tapped to do things that have nothing to do with what they should be doing because they made the mistake of saying, what should the PMO do? When you do that, people are not going to want to feel silly by not having an answer, and they feel like they should know because you asked them. So they're going to end up positioning you to do all the wrong things. So instead of saying, what should the PMO do? In stage 2, we teach you how to ask the right questions, very specific questions. We're going to give you a ton of questions and a worksheet and guidance that you can use to walk people through the right questions to uncover their pain points, build those relationships with them, strong relationships with them where they know you, like you, and trust you. And then they will let you take them on the journey of finding those root causes in stage 3 and laying out the right solutions to the right problems for the organization. Okay. So no, you should not ask them what the PMO should do. You have different questions that you need to be asking. And those questions are so much more about the thing they are an expert in, which is not your PMO. They are an expert in their pain. So let's go focus on asking the right questions so that we can understand the pain that they are experiencing, and then help you solve, and then help make sure that you are solving those right problems, the right root causes, not the symptoms. So should I read the entire book prior to certification course? No, you don't need to. You will have it, and you are welcome to, and you will have it in your hands physically before the program starts. However, you do not need to read the book because I'm going to be guiding you through the lessons from it. And then you can always use the book as a resource. Like if you're like, you should see mine. I have like notes all over it, scribbles, highlights, like all throughout the book. And I wrote it. I know this stuff. So, but I use it all the time. Like I say, okay, this is something that we need to look, make an impact, right? Like, what is the thing I need to make sure that you're applying and that you're learning? At the everything we teach, from the book to all of our programs, is all about giving you, yes, and we have the audiobook. Thank you. We have it in all formats: audiobook, ebook, and print edition. And actually, Eileen, I think I want to do something and give them more formats. So we'll talk about that, not just the physical book, but I'd like to give them a digital form of the book as well, in case they want to have it with them on the go. I know I spend a lot of time traveling and I like having it with me. Thank you, Ahmed. So yeah, I can't tell you the number of times people are like, oh my gosh, I've read your book multiple times. I wish I had you coaching me through this. That's exactly what we're going to be able to do in the certification program.
I can't believe how much that hour's flown, Laura, already. And honestly, we are absolutely delighted to be able to host the course, because just having the 1 day course when people just got their insight, people were so fired up after that day. So 2 days they're going to be we're going to trying to kind of keep them on that sitting on that chair because they're going to be too excited. So it would be great.
Yeah, and it's we're doing it in a online format so that people can join from everywhere in the world. But don't mistake this for a sit and get training. I don't believe in sit and get training. I don't think that's effective. This is going to be very hands-on and very practical, and very step by step by step. Here's what to do, in what order, why it matters, how to do it. Now let's go practice it. Because that's the only way I can make sure that you actually have the confidence, not just the tools, but the confidence and the skills and what to say and how to say it in your organization, so that you can help your organization be seen as the impact engine it should be. Yeah, and those that have been going through our programs, these are literally resources that sit on their desk at all times. Because they go back to the resources, the workbook you'll have, the downloadable resources. You're going to have so many tools at your disposal to help you through this process. What other
Excellent. Thank
questions do people have?
you. All gone very shy and quiet. Oh, there we go. Just a thank you for the time.
You are so very welcome. If you have any questions in the meantime, here's the email for my team. If you have any questions that we do not get answered today, and you determine that you have a question after today and want to learn more about very specifics, or will this work for your organization, you can send an email to care@pmostrategies.com. You can also go to the pmostrategies.com website, and there's a little chat bubble that will pop up. And during US business hours, that chat bubble, there's usually somebody there that can answer your questions, and they can escalate it to me. I will make sure that you have any questions you have about, is this the right course for me? Is this the right time? Like Lillian said, would you recommend this course for a new PM looking to move into a PMO role? Yeah, look at Willetta's head right now. Absolutely. This, I can tell you, we have had many students in our Impact Engine system, Impact Accelerator Mastermind, in programs like this, that have used this to help them get that first role. Because what your hiring managers want to know is, do you have what it takes to do the job? Those of you that are like, well, I should get promoted into the job, or I should get hired for the job first. No, that's not the way management works. Management wants to know that you can do the job the day you start. Right. So if any of you are looking to get promoted into a PMO role, your leaders need to understand that you actually can bring that you can bring the skills to the table necessary in order to do that. And this is how you prove it. Right. This, remember, it's not just the tools, it's the confidence and the mindset and the ways that you need to be thinking about the work that you do differently, and a real roadmap for doing that. So you can use that roadmap, like many of our students have, to get your next job, to go through the interview process, to show to your executives why you are the right person to build the PMO that they've needed forever. You've been trying to convince them. Let's not sell them or convince them, beg, plead. Let's show them. Let's show, if you want to be valuable, if you want to be seen as valuable, you need to be valuable. And this is the path to help you get there. Any other questions anyone has? Anyone thinking about joining us for this program? Yeah. Liz, awesome, awesome, awesome. Julia is nodding her head. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so this is something I think I highly encourage you. Thank you, Willetta. Willetta said I invested in myself and she got reimbursed because we teach our students how to get reimbursed for programs like this. So we have a whole downloadable resource. We walk you through how to go about asking for reimbursement for any of our programs. And it's easy to do once you've shown how
The
valuable
value.
you are. It's like, well, of course, like Willetta, it was a no-brainer for Willetta's executives. She was showing value that she was creating, and they were like, oh, of course, we're going to reimburse you for that. That happens regularly, because they value the results. Um, Right. And Gregor is a certified IES leader. He's in our mastery program. I welcome this course because it will be easier to do it in small organizations since the complete IES can be overwhelming at the start. So what he's talking about is the big 6-stage impact engine system on demand program, which is very, very, very detailed, but some people are like, I want to dip my toe in the water first. This program's perfect for that. So we listen to our mastermind students, that we're saying, you know what, we need something that's a little lighter weight, lighter entry for people that want to learn, they want the confidence, the skills, the tools, the knowledge. And then if you if you want to go deeper, there's always a deeper level certification we can go through for that. Yep. Yeah, Carl, you need to educate your organization as to what the impact engine is. Right. You do that through showing it, right? You do that through showing the changes. Like, I can't tell you the number of times executives are like, well, what's changed? All of a sudden, you're asking different questions, you're showing up differently, you have more confidence, you're listening to the business problems we're trying to solve. All of that starts happening, and it becomes pretty darn obvious that that something's clicked for you. That means they must have you in these conversations. They must have you at the seat at the table helping you solve the problems. I'm telling you, we'll start right with stage 1 and solve that in stage 1. Absolutely, Carl. Any other questions anyone has?
Gregor had his hand up a moment ago.
Oh yeah, Gregor.
Hi, I just wanted to say that's great to have this program. Not because it might be easier to go in, but there is a lot of organizations who feels that they don't need PMOs, and they don't want to have a big system, big framework, and everything around, and people employed in there. So for me, this would be a great start with those who just trying to figure out how to handle projects, deliver a strategy, and just start simple.
Right. Exactly right. So this is giving people a path to get started quickly, and show value quickly and build the momentum you need for your organization. Yes, this framework works in any size organization. Absolutely. We have used this framework in organizations as small as, well, we use it in ours, but we're actually bigger than our smaller organization. Smallest organization we used this with was 12 employees. 12 employees. Largest would be tens of thousands. So it works everywhere in between. And the reason it works, no matter the size of the organization, the industry, or how your industry operates, is because it's not just about it's not teaching you like you must have all these templates or this process, or you must do things a certain way. It's a system that shows you how to build a PMO that is custom to the business problems your organization is trying to solve in the industry you're trying to solve them. So this framework works in any organization, but helps you create a different operating model for value delivery that is unique to the organization, to your structure, to the people you have, to the problems you're trying to solve. It is, I don't believe in one size fits all, and this is definitely not a one size fits all. What you create for your PMO is going to be different than what your colleagues here create for their PMOs. But because it is designed, it is a reusable framework that you can use again and again and again as the needs of your organization change. As you go from one organization to another, this system goes with you because you're creating something that's reusable and that starts with helping you think differently about the work you do, and then go step by step by step through the process of changing how you operate, how you build an impact engine, build a PMO or transformation team that is driving value delivery.
And it's interesting, I put in there, and I suddenly realised for those of you who perhaps have been, we use this term poo for a PMO of one. You don't need a huge team to make this work in your organisation either, do you,
Nope.
Laura? If you're on your
Nope.
own, this still works.
Many of our students have started as a poo, PMO of one. Yeah, my mastermind students have never heard me say that. I heard that, I learned that from Eileen, because we often talk about the PMO of one. We have many PMOs of one in our mastermind. And so we've talked about the poo before. We just never called it that. So
Yeah.
I now have I have a new appreciation for the PMO of one, and I'm never going to stop laughing at that. So I put the link in the chat if anybody wants to go check out this certification program. This first one we're doing is in UK time zones. For this non-morning person, that's gonna be fun. I'm just kidding, I'll be fine. I'm already starting to get up earlier and earlier to make sure that I am like rocking and rolling and full of energy to do this first workshop. So it will be in UK time zones. Will we have others in different time zones in the future? Yes. Are they scheduled right now? No. So this is the only one that is scheduled right now. So if anyone wants to join me, get up bright and early and attend this program with me, I'm really, really looking forward to it. We have some special things for people that join this first cohort that we won't be offering any other time. So you definitely want to be a part of this first one. Yeah, Willetta.
So I saw a question or a statement from Guy in particular in the chat mentioning another framework that he mentioned works on all levels. I think what personally I found in this program is not only a continuous value delivery framework approach, it is interweaved with change management, the people side, and then leadership skills. Again, it increased my confidence on how to speak about strategy and the change in a way to help bring people along. And I think that's the difference from many other programs or frameworks. This program adds in the people part of it, because how do we get the change done? We get that done with people. Where does the resistance come from? The people. But this program really will show you how to think differently in addition to providing that repeatable framework. And we always tease Laura and say, what would Laura say? I mean, you will find that you will start repeating over and over again things that she is sharing in a way that people, like she said, they will just, the way that you tell the story, they start coming along with you, and you will reduce or find yourself having that reduced resistance and people wanting to jump on board with you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And Guy, yes, I would say that we have this situation, problem, implication, need, payoff. I think that I would say that that is similar to one of the frameworks we teach inside the full impact engine system. So we don't teach that framework, but there's something similar. Like, for example, we have the 5-step impact communication framework, which helps you to talk about the pain points your stakeholders are experiencing and take them on a guided journey of communication. But that's just one of the many frameworks we teach and the tools and resources we're going to give you in this program. It is content rich, but you are not going to be, it's not going to be cram an exam. We're going to be going through and applying things, and you'll be getting additional resources that you can use long after the 2 days. We're going to give you the knowledge and the know-how and the ability to confidently sit for that 50-question exam and get your certification. But then it will be, that's just the beginning. Like Eileen said earlier, this is the beginning of a journey of where you're going to continue to have resources and things that you're going to apply in your organization to your current role, to the next role you have, et cetera. So there's tons of frameworks and resources and tools and templates and downloads and the workbook. There's going to be so much we're going to be giving this first cohort to ensure that they're set up for success. Yeah. So again, just a reminder, thank you, Ahmed, Willetta, Gregor. It's nice, Joan. It's nice to see our students showing up here, even though many of them are already certified in our mastery level leadership certification, because they believe so strongly in the work that we're doing and how it helps people actually, make a bigger impact in their organization. We love PMO, and we love all of you. Eileen, show your tattoo.
My tattoo.
Yes, exactly. Well, Lindsay and I got fake ones at the PMO conference, but Eileen's is hardcore. Eileen's hardcore. Hers is real. We love PMO. So thank you all so very much for being here. Just a reminder that you can message, and I saw it up here in the, Jennifer has contact PMO Learning. You can do the contact form there if you have any questions about booking the course itself, how it's going to operate. But if you have questions on if this is a fit for me, send it to care@pmostrategies.com, and I will make sure to personally answer your questions about it, and make sure that you have all the information you need so that you can join us with confidence to get those tools, the roadmap, and a completely new path for how you're going to deliver value in your organization. Thank you so very much, everybody.